Recording.
Okay, got it recorded. We're back in business.
Okay, I'm muting myself.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So, so as always, please know that as we go through this information, I'm not a medical doctor. So if you, I always recommend people discussing these things with their doctor or with their kid's doctor, because it is important that they know, kind of how you're taking care of them, the whole picture, not just bits and pieces. As a natural health educator, I teach others how to enable their body to heal itself. I don't claim that any of these things that I'll talk about is a one fix. If you use essential oil, it's going to heal your body. That's not how this works. It actually just allows your body to heal itself, and it supports your body. The things that we'll discuss are all things that I have used personally and can attest to. I never, if there's something that somebody asks me and I haven't personally used it, I'll say, I've read this or I've talked to somebody that's used it. I'll never say that I've used it if I haven't. I definitely don't want to give any false information or misleading information. And I value modern medicine and its place in our world. As a pharmacist, I've learned a lot about modern medicine, and I definitely think that there is a very valid place in it. And like I'll talk about, as we go through this, it's something that can be used together. It's not, all or nothing. So, I definitely believe in that for sure. So why are you here? I think it's good to sort of take inventory, kind of why you tuned in and why you might want to learn a little bit more about this. I think that there's probably several categories that you could put yourself in, and it's good to kind of know where you are, and then you can, take steps to kind of go in the direction that you want to go, kind of maybe have goals for yourself. So if you're somebody that is very new to this type of lifestyle, maybe just for whatever reason, you haven't really, been taking the natural way in a lot of different things, and you kind of are looking to switch over, there's definitely some great information for you here. If you already maybe have one foot in and you want to go in that direction, there's some great tips that you could implement, and just small changes that you can do. It's not really none of this information is to make you feel bad or overwhelm you. It's really just to give you information, because I feel that information is power. And when we're educated and we know better, we do better. And then the last person that might be here, you might already have both feet in and really just are rocking a natural lifestyle. And then you just want some new tips. So whatever you're here for, I'm very glad that you joined me today. And I hope that I can give you kind of what you are looking for. Just help you out in some way. Okay, so the current standard, this, like I said, this isn't really to make anybody feel bad or anything like that. I just really wanted to kind of go over a few things that might kind of get you thinking, yeah, that is the current American standard. And do I really want to go with that, or do I want to go away from that? Kind of do my own thing, make my own decisions, and be empowered. So, I'll just kind of go through this. So following preset guidelines, time filled with TV or electronics, purchase packaging food for most meals and snacks, synthetic products fill the house. That would be fragrance or whatnot, and we'll go through that. And giving into their every want. And this might be something that is sometimes hard to do, but, you need to teach your children discipline and what it means to have boundaries. So I think that this is really to just, like I said, kind of give you a gauge to see where you're at. Like, how many of these things do you realize that maybe aren't that great and are trying to kind of, go against the norm? Because I think taking care of your kids naturally doesn't start with just purchasing a few essential oils or natural products. It's really a mental shift. It's either I want to do things that sort of the easier way, and just the way that maybe even, I was raised. Maybe I just want to do everything like my mom did it. Not that that's a bad thing at all, but, not really kind of looking into things, seeing what could be the best for your children and what might be against the norm, and maybe a little bit harder sometimes, because I'll tell you, it's very easy to do these things, and it's easier to take the quicker route and the, just the easier route sometimes, like I said. So this is obviously just kind of a gauge. So, and I think really, I want to take care of my kids as a whole in the best way possible. And that's why I look at all of these things, not just want to tell you, hey, you can use essential oils for this and this, and just act like everything, is going to be rosy after that, for a better lack of a better word. I really want to be the parent again for my children and not let my kids dictate how I raise them. Just because they don't want to eat their vegetables for dinner, I'm not just going to get it in and just give them, something out of the freezer. I think that takes a lot more, it's way easier to give in to that. And it's harder to say, this is what I made for dinner tonight and you're going to eat it or not. So I think that, like I said, it's just taking the easier way in some of these things. And if we really all go by, what other people tell us, is that really the best thing? It's kind of like when, I think we're oftentimes a mirror for our kids. So how do we take care of ourselves? Do we really look and see, how can I listen to my body and kind of see what it's telling me? Or do we just, go to the doctor, do what he says sort of thing, or ask our friends and do what they're doing? Or do we really honor our body and listen to it? I think that there is definitely a dangerous pattern in that, because we're never really getting down to the root cause. We're always just putting a Band-Aid on things. And I know personally that's not how I want to live, and that's definitely not how I want to raise my kids. Our culture often promotes and encourages a dependence on doctors and synthetics and healthcare systems to fix and heal these physical and emotional ailments. And I think that the priority is fixated on diagnosis and treatment, and whereas the true wellness focuses on education and self-awareness and prevention. And I very much believe in integrative medicine. So there are two different worlds that can come together. It's really not, one way or the other. And I'm not that kind of person. I'm not kind of an extreme type of person. I always like to look at the whole picture and then make the best decision that I can. Your body is way more capable of healing itself, and most of the time does not even need synthetics to take over and do its job. It really simply needs the right tools to enable it to do what it's meant to do. And I think that sometimes we want the quick fix, and obviously if your child is hurting, you want to take it away right then. And I totally understand that. But, essential oils can be very effective and very, and can work very fast if you will just give them a chance. It's almost like we just want to do what we absolutely know works, not try something new. And I get that, I do. But if you'll just give some of these things a chance and just kind of try to think outside of the box, then it can definitely be a very good thing. So the dangers of a toxic home. I think it's good to kind of know the why behind, why you might want to sort of take the different route or change some products in your home, not just tell you my opinions, and just really start with the why first and then go from there. So, I think when we really realize our choices do affect them, we might start thinking a little bit differently. Sometimes we think that what we do doesn't really have that much effect on them, or especially long-term effect. Maybe short-term, we might think about that, but definitely long-term, sometimes we don't always give it too much thought. Because especially in a child's body, more importantly, when they're infants, they're just developing so much, and it really makes a huge difference what they're exposed to. Their systems are just so much more fragile, and these types of things that we'll talk about have a much more damaging effect on their body. And, their toxic load starts when they're born. They're born with over 300 chemicals in their body, and it just, it kind of just doesn't go, any better from there. You're only exposed to more and more. So it's definitely something that you need to think about from a young age. And also fragrance really is like secondhand smoke now. And, you think to yourself, if you're out there, would you ever smoke in front of your kids? And you're like, no. But if you think about like this, fragrance, they've had studies that link, fragrance is almost as dangerous as secondhand smoke. So fragrance would be, candles or Glade plug-ins or any kind of like scented, everything's scented these days. It seems like it's hard to get anything that's not fragrance. But honestly, it's probably one of the best things that you can do as a parent is eliminate those things from your house, because it's not doing anything good for them, and it's definitely not doing anything good for you either. Essential oils can be great in kind of replacing the fragrance if that's all you're looking for, but they also have all of these added benefits. So that's definitely something that you should think about. And really looking at fragrance, More than 95% of synthetic fragrances are made from petrochemicals. And these toxins are capable of causing cancer, birth defects, nervous system disorders, asthma, and allergies. You know, you think about now how many more people have allergies and asthma than they used to. And really, you know, you just look at the correlation. I don't really think it's coincidence. I think it's how we live and the things that we're exposed to that are causing, you know, the rise in these different things. And like I said, fragrance is hiding in so many different products. Even if it says fragrance free, sometimes they will put fragrance in different forms in there. So it's really good to know the products that you're buying and putting in your home. And it's really even the best option to make those products. And I know sometimes we don't have time, and it's definitely, you know, sometimes work to get the products there and just to make them, but it's so much better than really, like I said, most anything you can buy. You know, how do we avoid this? Sometimes people are like, well, fragrance is in everything. How am I going to avoid this? You really need to look at the ingredient list and just, like I said, try to get fragrance free. It can still contain some fragrance, but obviously it's going to be way better. Make your own products and add scents with essential oils. Like I said, they have benefits and good side effects, and they smell good. You know, like they can replace some fragrance for sure. So the last thing on here is steer clear of triclosan. So how many of you know what triclosan is? I think that, you know, it's very kind of public now. A lot of people didn't used to know what it was, but if you've never heard of it, it's actually a bactericide, and it's one of the ingredients in antibacterial soaps. Most, you know, that you hear about are antibacterial soaps, but it's also in like toothpaste, body wash, deodorant, and it really can be quite dangerous to our health. It's been linked to cancer and different things like that. And it was first categorized as a pesticide, and then it was somehow allowed into our personal care products because we have, I mean, I guess, I don't know what Americans were really thinking, but, you know, most of the other world, they don't allow all these things into our products. But for some reason, we just don't care. And that's why it's so important to be really vigilant about where you buy your different personal care products and household cleaners and different things like that, because I just don't trust anything they put in there, to be honest. It's just like they try to sneak all these things that just aren't good for us. And that's one of the things that draws people to essential oils most of the time, because they do realize this and they want a different way. And you can make so many different products, you know, just with a few basic ingredients in your essential oils. And honestly, you know, as far as triclosan goes, these products are no more effective with them in there than without. So it's really, you know, it's not even needed to you know, help clean our hands better. You know, it's said that just soap and water is good. You don't even need antibacterial because it actually kills all the bacteria, including the good. So, you know, kind of just try to steer clear of antibacterial soaps, even though it's like your mom always told you to get that one, you know, just because we didn't know. And but, you know, like I said, now that we know more, we have education, you can be aware of these things. Okay, what our kids truly need. And that's a picture of my son. I don't know what happened to the slide where I introduced myself. I'm sorry, I don't know. You know, that happens. But anyway, this is very important to me because I do have kids of my own. And I did have a picture of my daughter and son, but I don't know where it went. So I have a 1.5-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter. And I think once we have kids, our mindset just changes and we want to do better for them. And we just start thinking about, you know, all of the things that we could do differently, even, you know, take care of ourselves better and them, of course. But what do our kids truly need on a foundational level? In my opinion, they need a loving home and environment. They need wholesome nutrition, and they need natural support for their bodies. And when we give our kids what they truly need to be filled in every way, they grow up feeling safe and feeling as if they can be themselves. It also allows them to thrive in every way. And what an amazing gift is that to give our kids. You know, I mean, it really is if you think about it. I mean, it almost just gives me chills because that's exactly what I want to do as a mom. I don't think there's, you know, obviously, you know, I want them to know the Lord, but you know, that's kind of, you know, obvious. I'm a Christian, but just these things, I think that they're foundational. And when we really put our time and effort and make these a priority, our kids can grow up in a different way than a lot of other Americans do. And I know that if you're on this call, you want that, because you wouldn't be taking time out of your busy Sunday that I was saying it's, this day is so busy. We need to learn and really take this seriously, because what we do affects them in a very big way. And I think that, of course, no one is perfect. This is not to bash anybody, but this is just to make you think, maybe. But as parents, it's really our job to instill these principles and show them how and why we do certain things. I always try to tell my daughter why I'm telling her. If I'm telling her, that she needs to wash her hands before dinner, or I'm telling her that she needs to eat her fruits and vegetables, I want to tell her why. Why is this needed, and why, not just because mommy said so. And I think that when we do that, our kids really, they respect us more, because, we're kind of getting down on their level. We're actually speaking their language. They want to know why. I mean, my daughter's in that stage right now that she is asking a million questions, and she just wants to know how everything works and why this and why that. And I just think that they're craving that. They want to know that. And once, if we kind of, fill their mind with these things, they're going to be more aware of these things when they grow up. It's easier really to instill this in them when they are younger than try to go back when they're older. And I realize that sometimes we just don't know any better until they get older, and I get that. But, if you have young children, start now telling them how good it is for them to not eat so much packaged foods and drink water and eat fruits and vegetables. I think it's really important for us to do that. And obviously, that's my son drinking a smoothie. So sometimes that's the only way you can get nutrition in them, but you try whatever way works, right? You got to get it in there some way. So what is true wellness? Sometimes it can be confusing, there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. And I feel like society really defines it as, the absence of the disease or sickness, but I don't really think that that's the truth. And I think that's one of the most important things we can teach our kids, is what true wellness is. And I really believe that it starts by listening to our body and, what is it kind of telling us and how is it leading us? And as moms, that starts with us. We can try to model this for our kids and not just say, this is what mommy said, do it, really explain to them why, like I said. And how many people have you heard say, that's how my mom did it? We really do look up to our moms, and we, even in adulthood, I was just talking to a lady the other day, and I guess I was more aware of it because I was doing this and had just, thought about that. But she kept going back to, well, that's just the way my mom did it. And that's the way my mom cooked. And this is what she's always cooked. And I just started thinking, my goodness, what a huge job we have as a mom, and then this was a grown woman. So it's like, she really instilled some good things. Her mom instilled some good things in her. So I just really understand how big of a job it is to be a mom and to take care of my kids in a different way. I think that sometimes our culture promotes and encourages a dependence on, different things like going to the doctor and just kind of taking that route. But I really just feel like, we as parents can instill that in our kids, that, even though, like, you tell your kids, even though your other children are doing something, that doesn't mean you have to do it. So it kind of goes back to this as well. Even though everybody else is eating a certain way, you don't have to eat that way. And maybe you could even encourage them to only, have one sweet treat a day, or make sure to finish, that serving of fruit and vegetable, or whatever it might be. But just, I think they can actually be an encouragement to other kids. That's what I encouraged my daughter to do. And I've actually seen her do it before, and I was extremely proud. So they really do listen to what we say, even though sometimes we feel like they don't, especially when they're young. So what we put in our bodies, it definitely affects what we put out. What emotions we put out. I just think that there's such a correlation between that. I know that in my experience, when my daughter eats too much, processed food, or she eats too much sugar, dyes, things like that, we know how much those can affect our kids. And I don't think that I could do a webinar on kids and not talk about nutrition. I mean, it's absolutely something that you cannot get past. And anytime somebody comes to me and wants help with their children, if they have, they're just too hyper or they can't focus, I'm always like wanting to know what, their diet is like, because, I can recommend essential oils all day long, but they're not going to get the true effects. And I know that, I could just say, well, you could buy this and just to sell them something, but obviously I would not do that, because I know that, it may help for some period of time, and it would help, but it would not get to the bottom, actually the root of whatever is going on in that child. And as parents, we have the most control. I mean, we control what we buy at the grocery store. We control what we cook for dinner or serve them for lunch or breakfast. So it is something that we have to be vigilant about. We have to really, not, like I said, not always take the easy way out, just really pay close attention to that. And honestly, just in thinking about it, when we never cook for our kids and only buy them packaged foods, there's no place for love to be like baked in. I think that I just remember so much like me and my mom making cookies together, or helping her cook dinner, or, just eating around the table. There's just something about that. And that's teaching them that, food is something that brings us together, and we need to have nourishing foods, that really help support our body and just make us feel good, and not just always go out to eat or, cook a frozen pizza, which, I mean, we've all done that, obviously, but just on a day-to-day basis, you want to show them that, and that's another way that you show them love, is to cook them a homemade meal. And sometimes they might not like it. That happens at my house. Sometimes I get my feelings hurt, and my husband's like, you're getting your feelings hurt by a 4-year-old. She doesn't like your food. I mean, get over it. And I'm like, but I spent so much time on it. So I think we've all been there, but we still have to try. I can't give up, right? Because again, I think that it's very deeply rooted in them, how they grow up. And it's really instilling in them that this is the way it's supposed to be. My mom's supposed to, when my daughter gets old enough, she'll cook for her husband and they'll sit down and eat. So I think it's just teaching them those values. And what we feed our children has a profound effect on their growth, development, and today as much as it is, in years to come. Okay. So, well, sorry about that. Okay. So what are some natural tools that we could use? And obviously, I'm a big proponent of using essential oils, because I do think they can be so effective and so quick. That's one thing that I think really turns people on to essential oils, is that when we use them, especially on kids, I mean, if they have a stomach ache, we want it to be gone pretty quickly. And that's what I first noticed about essential oils, and really what made me go, I mean, these things really work, and I like how fast they work. And I think that that's really something that, like I said, draws a lot of people to essential oils for good reason. And they really can be used to support the body on the deepest level. And by the deepest level, I mean, the cellular level. And I think that sometimes, things only hit the surface and we don't really see true results. And that's why I always go back to diet and, again, essential oils, is because they can affect us on that cellular level. And, I really equate a lot of the way essential oils work to food, because when we ingest those things, they really work to help nourish our cells and help give us energy. And that's exactly what essential oils do. When used correctly, they virtually have no side effects. And we'll definitely talk about safety next. But, just have confidence in that. If you just take the few tips that I'll talk about on safety and use them, when you apply these to yourself and your kids, you can really use them with confidence. And I think that it is when you get that confidence that you really begin to think about how many different ways you can use these oils on yourself and your kids, and then throughout your house. And that's when it really clicks, when you can really make that shift to a new lifestyle and to the natural lifestyle that I'm referring to, is when you have that confidence. And, these have been used for centuries. I think a lot of people think that they are new age or a fad, and that they're going to maybe just be around for, a few months or years or whatnot. And they're just not educated. And that's totally, I wasn't either. If I would have come in right now because when I first joined and started using essential oils, they weren't really trendy, quote unquote. So I can totally understand why somebody would think that, but you can rest assured that these have been used for centuries. These were used in biblical times. Even, hundreds of years ago, they were still used basically all around the world. And it seems like America is just, kind of slow to get on board with some of those things, because we are so programmed into, just going to the doctor and kind of getting their recommendation. Not that that's a bad thing, but sometimes if we kind of go a different route and maybe try something else to really support our body, we get amazing results. So safety first, right? When you're dealing with kids, you want to make sure that that you are using these in a proper way. And I think, if we kind of look at it like kids are not tiny adults, the oils are very potent and you only need a tiny amount. And that's why it's so important to dilute, especially on a young child, an infant. They're going to need so much less of an essential oil than we do. Nobody needs more than 1 to 3 drops at any given time, even an adult. But sometimes kids need, a fraction of a drop. So that's why it's very important to dilute always on kids. And diffusing is probably one of the best ways to get essential oils, in a child, because we know when we breathe in a pure plant oil, such as one from doTERRA, it has a profound effect on our entire body, not only our moods and emotions that I spoke about, in my emotions class, but it actually, it gets into our bloodstream and works throughout our entire body. So it's a very valid way to use them, even though we might think it just smells good. It actually has an effect on our entire body. And it's so much easier to just pop something in the diffuser and not have to worry about it for a few hours. Once you do that, these children and everybody in the house is getting the benefits. And you don't have to worry about, how much am I diluting, or how often do I need to apply it, or anything like that. So I always recommend that if people are wanting to use these on their kids, or especially, younger kids, infants even, it's great to use a diffuser to kind of get the oils in and around your home. And follow the ideal suggested amounts. doTERRA suggests different, amounts, and you can definitely go and Google that. But I think that, when looking at it over an entire day, for a small infant, they don't really suggest more than 3 to 5 drops over a day. So that tells you that you need to dilute and apply more often, because these oils are going to run through our body quicker. It's just like when we eat something like a raw salad. How you're just hungrier quicker, but it's because your body runs through that food so much faster than it would like a heavier, maybe processed meal or something with meat. It takes longer to digest. Your body knows so well how to use these essential oils that that you really need to apply less more often. That's what they always recommend. And I did want to mention, I didn't put it on here, and I apologize for that. You always want to know that you cannot put these in your eyes, your nose, or your ears. And with kids, you kind of have to be a little bit more vigilant about that, because not that you would necessarily obviously put it in their eye, but if you put it on, somewhere where they can get it and, I guess put their hand in it and then get it in their eyes, you just have to be more aware of that, especially when they're smaller. Maybe of putting it on their back, where they couldn't reach, or, if you put it on their feet, put socks on. So you just have to be aware of that you never want to get these in your eyes. Or, a lot of times we're dealing with ear discomfort in a young baby. You don't want to put these actually and drop them in your ear. You want to put them around the ear. You can actually put some, like Melaleuca, for instance, if you had ear discomfort, for on a cotton ball, and then just stick the cotton ball in your ear, because it's going to help it get absorbed that way. So we just want to always be vigilant about that. Okay, and sometimes it's really overwhelming, like where to start with this. And I think these are some good kind of, guidelines to go by. So doTERRA came out last year, around a year ago, with what they call the Touch line. And this is where they have, I think it's 9 of the most popular essential oils to use topically in pre-diluted roller bottles. And these are really convenient when you have kids. And I like to recommend these, whether it be the whole kit or you can buy these individually. just, getting some to keep in your purse or around the house or in the diaper bag, wherever, you might, would be easiest to use them. But I think it's a great way to use them topically if that's the route you're going to go, and just you're getting them diluted in the right ratio and all of that. So I always recommend that. That's a great place to start. The On Guard products are another great place to start on kids. When you're thinking about cleaning your house in a different way, the On Guard Cleaning Concentrate is a great place to start. We know that kids have a lot of germs, so diffusing On Guard is a great thing to do, or getting some of the pre-diluted On Guard in the touch line. It's a great thing to kind of just help your kids' immune systems work a little bit better and just kind of boost that, and hopefully keep them from getting every little thing they come in contact with. Because I know, my daughter's in pre-K now, and I'm like, oh, there's so many more germs and just things floating around, and they always have their hands in their mouth. So On Guard is a great place to kind of start with that. If you have older kids, the toothpaste is great for them to use. The On Guard lozenges are great. And the On Guard beadlets are a very convenient way to get a little dose of On Guard if your kids are, old enough to take them internally. Blends are a great place to start as well. I like to recommend blends to people that are just getting started, or in general, because you just get so many more oils at one time. Instead of applying all those oils separately, you can kind of apply a blend and get a lot of different, because these oils affect everyone differently. So some oils are going to work better for some people versus not so great for others. It just really depends. So when you have a blend, you're exposed to a lot more, a single essential oil. So they're a great place to start. And citrus oils are as well. Everybody loves the smell of citrus oils pretty much. I've hardly ever had anybody tell me they didn't enjoy any of the citrus oils. And it's a great to diffuse those. That's kind of how I like to use them around kids a lot, because they do smell so good. So, and they have those mood enhancing benefits. So if they're cranky in the morning, you could diffuse wild orange and maybe some peppermint, or, if they're just in a funk, just to kind of lift their mood, because let's face it, kids get in funks a lot, right? So that's a great place to start. And then finally, Correct X. And that's just something, kids fall down all the time. They have little cuts and scrapes. So this is kind of a natural form of something like Neosporin that you can use to, just for their little boo-boos and different things like that. So I think that's a great kid-friendly product. And these are sort of some of the other areas to think about. When we think about kids, there are certain areas that you could think about making switches in, and these are kind of some of the things that I thought might be interesting to people, or just kind of give them some new ideas. So for focus, Intune is a great one that I like to use. It's called a Focus Blend. And obviously kids need that. I mean, as a mom, Lord knows I need that, because lots of times I go in a room and can't remember what I went in there for. And I thought that really only happened when you were older, but I'm finding out that it doesn't. So I definitely use Intune, and I will put it on my little girl before she goes to school sometimes too, just because even though she's not, learning calculus or anything, she still needs to be, focused on what she's doing and listen to the teacher or whatnot. Peppermint, cedarwood, and balance are also good oils to use for focus. Especially peppermint, I love that to diffuse in the morning, because you get focused and energized maybe from the wild orange and the peppermint combination. So that's a great one for focus. As far as first aid goes, if you think about all the things that you used to get for first aid, it's kind of like you see where you could definitely replace some of those maybe with some essential oil products. I already mentioned Correct X. Lavender for bug bites. You might be thinking, is that really first aid? But sometimes I feel like my daughter thinks she just has a whole huge hole in her arm, like, oh my God, I had a bug bite. They want something to go on there like now because it's itching. So I use lavender a lot for bug bites, and it takes the itch away very quickly. So that's something that I use a lot of. And there's a lot of these. I just kind of posted a few, but when you think about first aid, you definitely think about there's some type of inflammation. So frankincense is great for inflammation. So if you're maybe something's inflamed on them. Lavender with frankincense, you could add frankincense to a lot of different things to use for different, in different ways for whatever is kind of going on. But that's definitely a great one to think of when we think of first aid. Digestive area, I guess. Digest Zen is a blend that doTERRA makes that has a lot of great oils to help with any kind of digestive issues, whether it be constipation, diarrhea. I mean, you just think about those things are very far on the spectrum, but there's a lot of different oils in that blend that can help bring your body back to balance and whatever is going on with that. Wild orange is a great one on its own or to add to Digest Zen. It is good specifically for constipation. It's also great for just calming your digestive system if it's just, kind of in a hyperactive state. Let's say it's a great one to use. And it kind of makes Digest Zen smell better to me. I don't really love the way Digest Zen smells. It kind of had that licorice smell. So I like to add wild orange to it because it does make it smell a little bit more pleasing. And then cardamom. It's another one that's good for constipation. You can, like I said, you can use it on its own or just add some to Digest Zen. And these are all great applied topically. I know we talked about mainly topical and aromatical for kids application, but this is the one I would definitely use topically with some just coconut oil and rub on your stomach. They're very effective that way. Okay, and here are a few more. Seasonal symptoms and respiratory, kind of put them together. So Breathe is the main one in this, for respiratory especially. It is a great blend to just kind of open up your airways and help with any just maybe congestion you might have and cough. It's a really great blend just to maybe diffuse at night with some lavender to kind of keep you or your kids, your airways open during the night, get some restful sleep. Obviously the lavender aids in that. The allergy blend is a great one. It is lavender, lemon, and peppermint, and it's just great for those, any symptom that you might think with allergies. Those three oils will really kind of help in all those areas. Just with the itchiness or the congestion, runny nose, head kind of tension, it's great for all of that. And for kids, you could definitely apply this to their feet, or you could even apply it behind the ears or on the neck, kind of chest area, maybe get some of the aromatic benefits that way. And then Arbor Vitae is a good one. A lot of people that will come to me ask me about seasonal symptoms. I usually recommend the allergy blend, but if it's kind of, they need a little bit more, I always recommend either Melaleuca or Arbor Vitae is a good one to just kind of help support your immune system, just kind of, maybe lessen some of those symptoms. Okay, next is your immune system. And we all really need help with this. It just seems like there's so many more germs and just things floating around. You just hear about all the sickness. It's just something that is on a lot of people's minds, especially if you have kids going back to school and different things like that. On Guard is the main one in this category. Obviously, it has some great oils that help your immune system just work better. Clove, rosemary, wild orange are the main ones that are in there. Cinnamon. So it smells really good too. I love the way this one smells. So I like to diffuse it, or I'll put it, I usually buy the Touch Kit roller bottle, and I'll put some of my kids either before school or at bedtime, whichever I might think of. But it's a great one to use for your immune system. Also, DDR Prime is a great one that that I use really to just kind of keep, it's great to help keep your cells healthy, but in another way, it also helps keep your immune system functioning at the way that you want it to, obviously at a higher rate. So it's a great one to use daily as well. And probiotics, I know that's not an oil, but it said that upwards of 80% of our immune system, is related to our gut health. And I truly believe that. And I know probiotics are one of the things that, everybody in the family really needs. So that's something that I always recommend to people, are probiotics. So the next category is mood and emotions. And the one that I usually recommend is Balance. I think it's great for calming and just keeping the nervous system sort of just calm, cool, and collected almost, and help you. It'll help you focus more too. Wild orange is great on its own or added to balance. I like to add them together as well because it helps to calm, and just even in the same way it calms, it also helps to kind of give you energy and kind of energize you. So I know those kind of seem counterintuitive, but if you've ever used wild orange, you know what I mean. It just kind of does both, but in the best way possible. And peace and cheer are another of the emotional aromatherapy blends that I like to use in this category. Obviously, peace could be used at night. It could also be used during the day when you just need a little peace in your house. You know, sometimes as moms, and if we're taking care of kids, our own or others, they just need a little something. So I always like to keep this in my back pocket, and it works wonders. And cheer, you know, that's great to diffuse in the morning or just for an afternoon kind of energizing. I love to apply cheer, or really best way is to me is aromatically. I love the way it smells, and it just kind of lifts your mood instantly almost. Okay, the last one is sleep. And mamas need their rest, right? And, you know, you want your kids to sleep, but, you know, I think sometimes it's just one of those topics of conversation that, you know, it's not a big deal if your kids are sleeping, but if they're not, it's like a huge deal. So we all need our rest. We want our kids to get their rest. And it's so vital. You know, a lot of the restoring and rebuilding properties that we need for our bodies to function, and especially, you know, theirs, when their bodies are just growing and developing, they need their rest. So these are some great oils you could think of to kind of apply at night or maybe diffuse to help them drift off to sleep and get a restful night's sleep. Serenity is a great blend. I like to diffuse this one. It smells amazing to me. Like has lavender, but it also has, I'm sorry, I don't know. I think it has ylang ylang as well, but it has vanilla in it. So it kind of has that vanilla fragrance to me, and I just love the way it smells. And it's like I said, it's a blend, so it kind of hits on different people in different ways. And like I said, those blends are great if you are just starting out and want to try a few oils. I love to get to recommend blends. So obviously lavender is a great one to use. Cedarwood is another good one. Vetiver and peace. You know, cedarwood and vetiver are more of the heavier kind of. They're made from, vetiver is made from a root, but cedarwood is from a tree. They're just, if you know what I mean, if you smelled them before, they have that woodsy smell. And they, to me, they put me in a deeper sleep than even lavender or serenity will. So, you know, if I need the big guns, I'm definitely looking for vetiver or cedarwood. So they're ones that you could think of at bedtime. And like I said, also you can use peace as well. So that's one that I like to use to kind of calm and just relax you at night. Okay, so that is all of our content tonight. Before we get off, I did want to mention, you know, whoever invited you to this call, or whoever you've been kind of maybe talking with about essential oils, get back with them if you have any, you know, any questions about maybe how to get essential oils or getting started, or maybe even, you know, placing an order or whatever you might need, because they're going to be able to help you the best. So I won't really go over exactly like how to enroll if you're new, because I just want really you to work with a person that you've already been kind of dealing with. But I did want to mention, and it's really too good not to mention, if you are new and you're thinking about getting started, this will be a great month. You know, it's really, I've had a lot of people start their journey this month because this promotion is really that good. And, you know, obviously you can get with the person and you might not know what all these like terms mean, but if you enroll with or place a 160 PV order, you'll get a free bottle of lavender, lemon, and peppermint. And those are three of the most used essential oils. They are a great, you know, addition to any home or just to stock up on. Obviously, I just use these all the time and run out just about every month out of these three. So I did want to mention that. And it ends Wednesday, the end of the month, the 31st. So if you're thinking about doing that, you definitely want to go ahead and do it by that date. And I just wanted to thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I try to keep it 50 minutes. So I try to keep them under an hour. I hope you got some good information. When I, you know, be thinking about different topics that you might want me to cover. I love to, you know, I come up with different one every month, and I just like to keep the education going, because I feel like if you're new, or if you're still maybe you're 2 or 3 years in like me, you still need education. I learn stuff every day just by, other people's testimonies or reading of books or different things. So there's always more to learn. So I'd love to hear what you guys might think might be some good topics for the future that I could maybe be thinking about and kind of preparing for. But if you're brand new and and you just kind of saw this and you need some help, I will be happy to help you. I put my email or my phone number up here. You can contact me for more information if you need any help with anything. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. All right. I was going to stay on for just a few more minutes if you guys have any more questions. You're welcome, Eliza. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm so glad you told me to record that. I would have been so just mad at myself if I didn't record it.
Props to Erin on that one.
Mm-hmm.
She's like,
that's right. Thank you, Erin. Actually, I need to stop recording this. You're supposed to remind me of that too, right?